friends. So welcome to day 2 of the Move and Write series. Yesterday, day 1 was grounding. Today, we've got day 2. So once again, just as a reminder, I'm only here as a guide. Please listen to your breath and your body and move in a way that feels good for you. Just know that I am here for guidance if you need it. But it is not, don't feel like you have to stay inside everything I'm saying. Secondly, if you would like to play some music, please feel free. Put on anything that feels good, sounds good to you today. Day 2 of the Move and Write series, and our theme today is heart opening. So all about our heart, opening that up, all about the movements. Kona, come here. I think I'll have Kona join us today. Good job. All about movements, all about opening up the heart and just really opening that space up today and seeing what's there. We are going to begin today in a seated meditation. So if you like something underneath your hips to help elevate them, I like to grab a pillow. Maybe a blanket works as well, or a block. So coming into a comfortable seat here. Just taking a couple of breaths with a long spine and the sit bones rooted into the ground. Begin to drop into the body. Just noticing in this moment what it feels like to stop everything and breathe. Noticing how with each inhale you take, the ribs, the stomach expand, make space for new air. With every exhale you take, you feel contraction in the belly, the ribs, the shoulders. Just noticing that cycle of the breath moving from chest to ribs to belly, and then from belly to ribs to chest. Taking a moment to feel into the heart space. Creating space there with every inhale and every exhale. Really feeling into the expansiveness within this heart space that lives in all of us. Keeps us connected. Notice how the breath nourishes every part of the body. Noticing if we focus on one part of the body long enough, we can consciously send our breath there, creating more space. Where do you need more space right now? Send your breath there. When our heart feels open, We can feel connected to things greater than ourselves, all these great, beautiful qualities that live in us. We can access through the heart. So staying connected with this space that we've now created throughout our whole body, let's begin to move on our mat. So set your pillow or blanket aside. And let's begin by taking the arms around your back, clasping the fingers, and just pulling down, really opening up the chest here. Really pulling the shoulders down, pushing the chest out. And now bring your hands back down to the mat. Place your right arm behind you and just start to twist to your right. Slowly waking up the spine. And on your next breath out, twist to your left side, placing that left hand behind you. Begin to wake up the body a little bit. Coming back to center, come up to sit on your heels. Keeping your knees out a little bit and bringing the toes behind you to touch. So sitting on the heels with the toes touching underneath and the knees out wide a little bit. Begin to place the right arm behind you as you push your hips forward and lift the left arm up overhead for a seated rock star pose. Really feeling that expansion across your chest here. Taking a couple breaths in this pose. And on your next exhale, bringing the hips back down and flowing into the other side. So placing that left hand behind you. Pushing the hips up and breathing space into the chest. And one more each side. So let's flow around, bringing the right arm behind you. Coming up on an inhale. And on the exhale, flowing into your other side. Inhaling, rising up. And exhale, coming back to center. Come into a tabletop position. So shoulders over elbows over wrists, hips over your knees. Finding a neutral spine here. Begin to raise the right arm out in front of you. Pausing for a moment. And then send your left leg straight back behind you. Finding the balance here. Maybe you stay in this position, keeping your core engaged and tucked. Or maybe you go for a little bigger heart opener here. Start to reach the hand back to grab the foot. Pressing the chest forward. Really using that left quad, pushing into the hand to help bring the chest forward. Taking 2 breaths here. Deep inhale and exhale. One more breath. Inhale. And on the next exhale, straighten that arm and leg back out and place it back down on your mat. And let's do the other side here. So start by lifting that left arm straight out in front of you, keeping the core tucked and engaged. And then begin to raise the right leg behind you. And once you feel you have a steady balance, if you would like to move on, reach that arm back, grabbing that right foot, and extending the heart forward. Keeping space in the lower back, not sinking too much. One more breath in this position here. And exhale, release the grab. Placing the hand and foot down and going back into downward facing dog. So begin to straighten the legs here. Sending the hip bones up towards the sky. Melting your heart towards the ground. And as always, feeling into your downward facing dog today. Walking your dog a little bit. Moving the hips back and forth. Maybe coming forward out onto the wrists and then sending the hips back again.
Shaking the head yes, shaking the head no. Reminding ourselves that we have choice. We have choice in how we choose to see, what lens we choose to see the world through. Slowly begin to walk the feet up to meet your hands at the top of your mat. Folding forward here. Maybe you give a generous bend in the knees. Really release the weight of the head, the neck. Let gravity decompress the spine here. Slowly begin to roll up to a standing position, stacking one vertebrae on top of the other. And when you come to a standing position, place the arms down by your side. Feel your feet into the ground in mountain pose. Reconnecting to that heart space here. Maybe placing your hands on your heart. The physical touch. On your next inhale, lift your arms up overhead. And exhale, folding your heart down towards the earth. Inhaling up to a flat back. Exhale, placing your hands down on the mat, stepping back into plank. Moving through our first vinyasa here. So moving through a chaturanga. Maybe go all the way down to the mat. And come up for a little baby cobra. And on your next exhale, sending your hips back into downward facing dog. Staying connected with the breath, taking these sun salutations to help connect the movement with the breath. On your next inhale, begin to walk your feet in towards your hands. Inhaling up to a flat back position. Exhale, folding down to your mat. Inhale, raising the arms up overhead. And exhale, bring the hands back down to heart center. 2 more sun salutation A's. Inhale, lifting the arms up overhead. And exhale, folding forward over your legs. Inhale up to a flat back. Exhale, hands back down to the mat, stepping into plank, pausing for an inhale. And on your exhale, moving through your version of a vinyasa to a heart-opening upward facing dog. And exhaling back, rolling over the toes into downward facing dog. Viewing this as a reset, maybe releasing some old air that's stagnant in the body, some old energy. On your next breath in, walk up or step the feet up in between the hands. Inhale up to a flat back. Exhale back down. Inhale, rooting to rise, lift the arms up overhead. And exhale, hands back down to heart center. Last sun salutation A. Inhale, lifting the arms up overhead, stretch up towards the ceiling. And exhale, fold that heart over your legs towards the earth. Inhale to a flat back, pressing the heart forward. Exhale, stepping back into plank. Pausing for a breath here. And moving through your chaturanga into your heart opening, upward facing dog or cobra. And shifting the hips back into downward facing dog. On your next breath in, send that right leg up towards the sky. Exhale, swing it up in between the hands. Staying on the ball of that back foot, coming up into a crescent lunge. So lifting the arms up overhead, staying up on the back of the ball of your back foot. On an inhale, reach the arms up towards the ceiling. And exhale, open the arms wide for cactus arms. Let's do that 3 more times. Inhale, arms up towards the ceiling. And exhale, open to cactus. 1 more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, open up that heart. Continue to bring the hands down till they clasp behind you like we did in the beginning. Pulling that chest forward.
Really shooting the knuckles down towards the ground. On an inhale, create length in the spine. And on an exhale, start to move forward, keeping the hands clasped behind you into a humble warrior. So coming to the inside of that right foot. Maybe you need to move it out a little bit. But getting to the point to where your knuckles are facing towards the ceiling. And breathing. Really using the breath for stability here. One more breath. On your next exhale, place the hands to frame that front foot. Stepping back into a plank pose. Pausing for a breath. And slowly lower all the way down to your belly. Pausing here for a moment. Begin to bring the arms out in front of you. So placing the forearms down, palms down on the mat, coming up into a Sphinx pose. So pulling the elbows, make the action like you're pulling your elbows back towards your hips and pressing that heart forward. Creating expansion in the chest. Breathing into that space. And on your next exhale, put the head down on the mat, take a rest. Left ear on the mat. On your next breath in, bring your hands next to your ribs and start to lift the upper body up, keeping the feet down, pressing through the tops of the feet, but hovering the hands over your mat. Keeping space in the low back. Continue to breathe. And on your next exhale, drop to your right ear. On your next inhale, come up for an upward facing dog. So press those hands into the mat, really lifting the heart, the chest forward. And exhaling, rolling over the toes back into downward facing dog. Begin to swing the left leg up this time. Bring it up in between your hands, staying on the ball of your right foot. Using the balance of your core, coming up into a high crescent lunge. So bringing the arms up overhead, staying on the ball of that back foot. And let's take our cactus breaths here. So lift the arms up towards the sky and exhale. Open up that chest. Inhale, reaching up, and exhale, creating space. One more time. Inhale, reaching up towards the sky, and exhale, cactusing the arms, bringing them all the way down to clasp behind you. And once again, yearning the knuckles for the ground beneath you as you lift the chest up. On your next exhale, keep the arms behind you. Start to lean forward. Maybe you move that left foot out a little bit. Start to lean forward as the knuckles come above you to point at the ceiling for humble warrior. So staying strong in the legs, strong in the core, but feeling the space in the heart. One more breath here. Exhale, bringing the hands down to frame that front foot. Stepping back into plank. Moving through your version of a vinyasa to meet in downward facing dog. Taking a few breaths in downward facing dog. Slowly begin to walk the feet in towards the hands. Inhaling up to a flat back position. Exhaling the hands back down to the earth. On your next inhale, rooting to rise. Lift the arms up overhead. Reach up towards the sky. And exhale, hands down at your heart center. Let's turn to face the long edge of your mat. Bring those arms up overhead. We're going to exhale into a wide-legged forward fold. So coming down through the heart, keeping the back flat as long as possible before folding down to the earth. So doing whatever feels good here. Maybe moving back and forth, grabbing opposite ankles, opposite toes. Just exploring a little bit what feels good in the body in this position today. Come back to center, so find the hands in the center of your mat, still folded forward in this one-legged forward fold. Place your left hand down right beneath your elbow and shoulder and begin to twist towards the right side. So twist that right arm up towards the ceiling. Then breathe. Connecting with your heart once again. Remembering that this is where your voice, your soul lives. Taking the time to let it lead, listening to it today. What does that feel like? On your next exhale, bringing that right hand back down and twisting to the other side. So leaving the right hand on the ground and lifting the left arm up towards the ceiling. One more breath here. Exhale, bringing both hands back down to the mat. Begin to slowly walk towards your right leg as you start to bend into that right hip. Keeping the left leg straight, coming up on the heel for Skandasana. So bringing the hands to the heart center. If you need to keep your hands on the floor, you can do that as well. Notice what your heart is saying when you calm things down, when you calm the mind, calm the body. What does the heart have to say? And slowly begin to walk over towards the left side. So pulling the hips back up towards the ceiling, moving the hands over towards your left foot. Begin to sink into that left hip. Maybe bring the hands to heart center here. Maybe you keep them on the ground for balance. Always staying with the breath. That is the yoga. Knowing we always have that to come back to. And your next breath in, begin to walk back to center, back over to that right side. But this time we're going to turn the right foot out. So bring the toes to face the back edge of your mat. Keep your hands on the inside of that right foot for a lizard pose or an extended runner's lunge. So doing what feels good here once again, but really focusing on pulling the heart forward, leading with the heart physically, and learning how to lead with it mentally, emotionally, spiritually as well. Begin to walk the hands back to center for that wide-legged forward fold and over to the left side. So turning the toes to the left, bringing both hands on the instep of that left foot as we come down into our lizard lunge. Once again, you have options here to go down to your elbows, maybe put the back knee down. What does your heart want to do in this moment? On your next exhale, step that front foot to meet the back one in a plank pose. Place the knees down and come to sit on your heels. So we have one more really big heart-opening pose that we're going to do right now. It's called camel pose. So if you want, you can get a blanket or a pillow to put under your knees. if they're a little bit sensitive. But place the knees under your hips. Begin by just placing your hands at the small of your back. Start to lean back, really pushing the chest up. And for some people, this might be enough. I already feel a huge heart opening in this position right here. If you'd like to explore to keep going, start to slowly lower your hands down to your heels, keeping your chin tucked, and then lastly, letting the head fall back. Embracing the vulnerability that this pose requires, exposing your heart with no guards. There is true beauty to be found there. If you have your hands on your heels, slowly place the hands at the small of the back, keeping the head back. Slowly begin to come back up to stand. And let's take a child's pose. Take a child's pose to reset our spine after that big heart opening. Creating more space in the low back. Come up to sit on your heels. Swing the heels out from underneath you. And begin to slowly lie down on your back, keeping the feet on the ground. Keeping the feet planted in the ground. Pull the right knee in towards your chest as you straighten your left leg out. Going into a reclined spinal twist here. So pulling that right knee in and then turning it over the left side of the body, maybe moving the left hips a little bit and twisting in from the spine, bringing that knee down towards the ground and feeling the expansion across the chest as you let your arm fall out to the side. On your next exhale, roll back onto your back. Begin to switch the legs, straighten the right leg out, pull the left knee in towards your chest, giving it a nice squeeze. And then start to roll it over the right side of your body, moving the right hips over. On your next exhale, coming back onto the back. Give both those knees a big squeeze into your heart. Squeeze, give it a hug. And on your exhale, release. Let the legs straighten out. Let the arms straighten out to the side for Shavasana, our final resting pose. Dropping the breath and just being. Slowly begin to move the fingers and the toes. Slowly bringing the body back to this moment. Rolling out the wrists and ankles. And rolling onto your right side into a fetal position. And pausing here, we roll onto our right so that when we push up with our left hand, we're leading with the heart. We step into the rest of this day leading with our heart. So pushing up with the left hand with as little effort as possible. And coming into a comfortable seat. keeping the eyes closed if that feels good to you. And placing the hands at the heart center in Anjali Mudra, prayer position. Honoring this space, honoring all that lives here, all that is accessible here. All there is to learn here, to explore here. It's all part of the journey. Each of us exploring our hearts, sharing our hearts. Thank you for sharing your heart with me today. It really brings me joy to have you here. Namaste. Thank y'all so much. So much. My heart just feels very open and big right now. Thank y'all so much for practicing with me. The journal prompt for today, for day 2 heart opening, is my heart is saying. My heart is saying. So once again, take that however you'd like, create with it, reflect on it, write on it, whatever you'd like, talk about it. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. I love y'all.